Modern physics tells us that spacetime emerges from entangled information. When combined with integrated information theory, or IIT, in cognitive science, which states that entangled information is integrated, it follows that physical spacetime emerges from a conscious state in a scientific model of idealism. When combined with tests of the Wheeler-DeWitt equation, describing a universal wave function entangling everything, this idea can further be extended to a cosmic mind, simulating the universe within it, providing a fully scientific understanding of a concept previously found only in the realm of religion. To further investigate this universal quantum integrated information, or quantum phi state, it may be helpful to first understand the sort of relationship entanglement entails. In entanglement, two particles are inseparable and cannot be dissociated, as the state of each is contained in the other, and vice versa. The state of each particle both contains and is contained by the other. This is a direct mirror in holography, wherein the information describing the whole is contained in each part of the undeveloped holographic film. The parts are separate, but relate to each other as part of a single, irreducible whole. This concept shows up elsewhere as well. For instance, in Thomistic philosophy, this sort of relationship is referred to as Holland-Merism in the concept of hylomorphism, the doctrine which relates holistic form to material substance. Meanwhile, in theology, it is referred to as perichoresis, and used to describe the members of the Trinity containing and being contained in each other. Applying this concept, we can gain a better understanding of the structure of the universal phi state. To relate the bits of information in the quantum phi state simulating spacetime, the concept of a network is useful. The relations in a network are the same as the relations found in any logical system. Integration is often combined with additional hidden materialistic assumptions, making it to be about the linkage of third-person information. However, here, we will merely focus on information being integrated from a first-person perspective as subjective semantic meanings, without reference to any additional substrate. In language, for instance, the words in the dictionary are defined by other words, which are defined in terms of more words still. Eventually, this web of meaning will fluxes back to form a semantic loop. Some years back, I had attempted to apply this concept in a rather mad scientist-like and somewhat sophomoric fashion to attempt to reprogram the consciousness of left-wing political opponents through mimetic engineering. I reasoned if I can control the semantic loop, I could also mind control the thinking of others through engineered linguistic manipulation. To do this, I worked out the logical structure of such a loop. In propositional logic, any element is linked to any other element in one of 6 possible ways, specifically before or after a then, and, or operator. Propositional calculus, which is just a fancy word for ways to reduce or expand a logical system, can then be used to reduce the semantic loop to its minimum possible size. For example, wherever the statement A and B appears, a symbol C can be placed to represent it. Doing this repetitively, a maximally simple semantic loop can finally be derived containing exactly 3 elements in the form A then B or C. Any more elements and the system can be reduced further. Any fewer and the system collapses into meaningless tautology. If we think of these as dictionary words, we quickly see that each word both defines and is defined by the other 2. Likewise, their semantic meanings both contain and are contained in the other 2. It is also interesting to note that unlike on lower levels of semantic reduction, at this level each term would contain the whole, as it is directly related to it rather than indirectly, as each term is indispensable to the semantic meaning of the others. Remove only one term and the semantics collapses into tautology. By contrast, on a lower level of reduction, other terms can be removed without semantics disappearing entirely. For instance, in a system containing the 4 elements, black, white, horse, and zebra, the concept of black can be understood without reference to zebras, whereas in a system containing only the 3 elements, space, time, and energy, no one term can exist without reference to the other 2. If this notion of propositional calculus is extended to the phi of an entangled system, we can then treat it as a network of integrated elements, like the dictionary words in the previous example. When we apply relational quantum mechanics, where collapse, superposition, and entanglement are all relative to one's frame, we see that in a lower frame of reference, these integrated elements become disentangled into smaller independent phi states. For example, in the Wigner's friend thought experiment, Schrödinger's cat and the radioactive isotope are not entangled with respect to each other's frames. However, with respect to Wigner's friend, who is not entangled with them, they belong to the same quantum phi state. In turn, with respect to Wigner's frame, Wigner's friend, the cat, and the radioactive isotope are all entangled with one another and belong to the same quantum phi state. Each phi state would represent a distinct mental identity. On classical IIT, these identities would be distinct and mutually exclusive. However, by adding relational quantum mechanics into the picture, whether or not these identities are exclusive becomes relational and relative to one's reference frame. From a higher reference frame, each such mental identity would be seen as a different semantic element in a self-reflexive semantic web, which in turn could be integrated into a larger mental identity, a principle also contained in Donald Hoffman's theory of conscious realism.
So you can actually have conscious agents, they're linked in a network like this. You can do it more abstractly, a graphical symbol like that, where effectively one is sending information to the other and receiving information. So information is flowing between the two. You can have 3 conscious agents linked together, or linked like that. You can have 4, and in fact, if you think about it, you can have any number of conscious agents linked together in a network, and now you have a very interesting dynamical systems thing. You can have introspection. It turns out if you have 2 conscious agents, the mathematics surprised me. It turns out 2 conscious agents interacting satisfy the definition of one conscious agent. They are also one conscious agent that's introspecting. So what comes out of this mathematics is a model of introspection that's completely rigorous. You can have, so now more abstractly, each dot is a conscious agent. Each link is a connection between conscious agents where they're communicating with each other. You can have arbitrary graphs of conscious agents, and it turns out to be a theorem that given any graph of conscious agents, any subset of the conscious agents constitute a new single conscious agent.
Continuing on up like this, we reach maximum simplicity at the highest reference frame, given by the wave function of the universe. Given what was deduced before about a system with maximum simplicity, once we reach this level, we have exactly 3 identities integrated into a single mind, with each such identity containing and being contained in the other 2. Furthermore, since unlike on lower tiers of simplicity, each contains the whole system, each identity can be thought of as containing the whole mind, and is thus not subsumed by it, so as to disappear. As these 3 identities are retained at this level and are identical with the same mind, each can be thought of as distinct mental identities. When this concept of mental identities is anthropomorphized, we see that it is identical with what are thought of as personal identities, or persons. Thus, the structure of the cosmic mind is identified. On the highest reference frame, the universe is simulated within a single mind, comprising 3 personal identities, holistically containing and being contained within the other 2. In other words, a derivation of the Trinity within our rational comprehension. If you like this video, subscribe and support me on Patreon. And don't forget to check out the books in my Alaris novel series, Alaris, The Lances of Light, and Alaris, The Pearl of Heaven, on Amazon Kindle in the description below. You can find us on Facebook as well, at Idealism and Science versus Atheism.